Okay, today we're diving into a really big topic, manifesting wealth. And look, before you tune out thinking this is all about magic wands and wishful thinking, let's just reframe this. The sources we're pulling from today, they don't talk about it like it's magic. They talk about it like a practical mental discipline. You know, a high-performance tool that elite athletes, top surgeons, and super successful entrepreneurs are using all the time. So the real question is, how do we actually start training our minds for wealth? Let's get into the blueprint. So here's what we've got on the agenda. First, we're going to start with this core idea that wealth is really an inside job. Then we'll dig into the science behind visualization. It's pretty cool, and see how the pros actually use it. After that, we get super practical. I'm talking a 5-step action plan you can use. And to wrap it all up, we're going to talk about how wealth is so much more than just money. All right, section 1. This gets right to the heart of it. You know, the foundational idea from all our sources is this. Creating wealth, it's not really about what you do first. It's about what you think first. It's all about getting that internal alignment right from the get-go. And that really leads to this fundamental question, right? It totally challenges how most of us think about getting rich. Is it something you have to endlessly chase and hustle for? Or is there another way? Could it be something you actually attract? And this quote, this just nails it. The whole point isn't to be constantly running after wealth. Nope. It's about building the mindset, the habits, the energy of a person who just naturally attracts opportunities and abundance. You literally become a magnet for it instead of a hunter chasing it. So here's the key takeaway. Manifestation, at least as our sources describe it, isn't some fluffy concept. It's a system. It's about training your mind, with the same kind of consistency you'd use to train your body for a marathon. It's a discipline, not a daydream. So if it's a discipline, what does the training actually look like? Well, that brings us right to our next section. Okay, so this brings us to a really core technique in all of this mental training, visualization. And I want to be clear, we're not just talking about generic positive thinking here. We're actually going to ground this in some pretty fascinating neuroscience. So what is visualization really? Well, think of it like this. It's the active practice of creating a super detailed mental movie of what you want. And the key here is that word multi-sensory. You don't just see it, you have to feel it, hear it, fully experience it in your mind. What you're doing is basically handing your subconscious mind a detailed blueprint and saying, here, build this. So why does this work so well? I mean, what's the secret? It's all in the neuroscience. It's amazing, actually. Studies show that when you vividly imagine doing something, your brain fires up in almost the exact same way as when you're physically doing it. This is why elite athletes mentally rehearse a perfect golf swing or a flawless ski run over and over. To your brain, there's very little difference. That mental practice is almost as good as the real thing, and it carves out those neural pathways for success before you even start. So if this stuff is so powerful, you've got to be wondering, who's actually using it? Well, this isn't some kind of hidden, mystical secret. It is a well-documented tool used by top performers in pretty much every field you can think of. And this is a really important distinction to make. This isn't about just daydreaming, passively wishing you'd win the lottery. No way. This is active, it's focused, it's a strategic mental rehearsal. It's about preparing your mind, your entire nervous system for the reality you're trying to create. And look, it's not just for athletes. Just look at this list. The range of people who rely on this is incredible. So what do they all have in common? They all operate in these super high-stakes environments where one tiny mistake can mean total failure. We're talking entrepreneurs, top surgeons, even military pilots. They all use mental rehearsal to get ready for intense pressure and to execute flawlessly. It's a fundamental tool for success when performance is literally everything. Okay, so we've covered the why and the how from a science perspective, but now for the most important part, right? How do you actually do this stuff? So what we've done is synthesized all the practical advice from our sources into one clear 5-step action plan. This is your guide from thought to reality. And here's the framework. It's a really logical flow. It goes from clarity to practice to alignment, then action, and finally, trust. So clarity is about knowing exactly what you want. Practice is that daily mental rehearsal we've been talking about. Alignment, that's about matching your emotions to your vision. It's about feeling wealthy before it shows up. Action is the absolute crucial bridge to reality. And trust, that's about letting go of how it's all going to happen and just believing in the process. So let's break down a couple of the most critical parts to get you started.
Let's talk about step 1, because clarity is everything. Saying I want to be rich, well, that's just a wish. It's vague. But saying I will have a net worth of $1 million by December 31st, 2028 by building my online business, now that is a target. Your subconscious mind needs a specific set of coordinates, a clear destination to navigate to. Vague goals just get you vague results.
Now, for step 2, you start using tools like affirmations to literally reprogram your beliefs. So instead of that old broken record in your head saying money is hard to come by, you consciously install a new program. Saying something like this and really feeling it every single day, that's how you start to rewire your brain's default settings about money.
Okay, listen up, because this might be the single most important rule in this entire explainer. You can't just sit on your couch, visualize a check appearing in the mail, and expect it to happen. That's not how it works. The whole purpose of all this mental work is to inspire you to take action. It's meant to give you the clarity and the guts to make that phone call, to build that product, to take that calculated risk. Action is the bridge. It connects your internal world to the external world. Visualization without action is just fantasy.
And to help you out, to really reinforce this whole practice, our sources suggest some awesome tools. A vision board that literally makes your goals visible every day. A gratitude journal trains your brain to focus on the abundance you already have. And then there's scripting, where you write about your future life as if it's already happened. That is an incredibly powerful way to get into the feeling of having already achieved it. All right, for our last section, let's kind of zoom out for a minute, because all our sources make this really clear. This whole process isn't just a machine for printing money, it's a tool for designing a life. The real goal here is a richer life in every single sense of the word. I mean, look, a bigger bank account is a fantastic outcome. Nobody's denying that. But it can feel like a pretty hollow victory if it doesn't come with a sense of purpose and fulfillment, right? The real prize is using these principles to create a life that feels abundant across the board, in your work, in your relationships, in your sense of contribution to the world. When it's all said and done, it really comes down to this. True richness is when your financial life, your emotional well-being, and your spiritual sense of purpose are all clicking together, all in alignment. Having one without the others, well, that's just an incomplete picture. So, we want to leave you with this final thought. Everything we've talked about today suggests that your mind, it's the blueprint. It holds the architectural plans for your entire reality. That makes you the architect. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?